You're watching the AMPL Insider, your trusted source for Ampleforth news. Here are the headlines. We're starting with King Karp of Nexus Mutual, who created this DeFi hot crazy matrix, which lists Ampleforth in the fund zone with Chainlink, Compound, and Kyber networks. Not quite yet marriage materials such as Aave, and not there at unicorn status as Ethereum is. But we're in good company here in the fund zone where you kind of want to explore. A lot of investors in the DeFi space are curious about it. Some people are fudding the Ampleforth protocol, but we're in this fund zone. We're in good company. We're not quite in that same area or the danger zones like this matrix considers M-stable or Maker or synthetics. But we're in good company. So all in all, it's an interesting meme to check out here by King Karp of Nexus Mutual. Moving on. The criticism of Ampleforth is mounting. Eric Connor, a core dev at Ethereum, writes Ampleforth, a legit Ponzi, has a $1.3 billion fully diluted cap. I don't know what glue you all are huffing to be in this thing, but it's clearly the next absolute wreckage story waiting to happen. Godspeed. To which David Hoffman of the Bankless podcast, which Ampleforth is a sponsor, I saw in a previous episode, wrote or replied, "The valuation is insane, and there is a lot of risk in AMPL price right now. No denying that. It is absolutely not a legit Ponzi. That is dishonest." The attacks by Eric on Ampleforth, they continued. He wrote, Can you spot the Ponzi?" implying Ampleforth, to which Eden replied, "Imagine AMPL as collateral. Liquidation bots get busy." Well, here's the thing. Ampleforth has already gone into a negative rebase cycle. If we look at its early chart, so if we look at its max chart, back in 2019 on October, let's see this, what is this date? So on October 24th, it experienced a price drop to 22 cents. That right there could have been an extinction event. That right there could have ended in a complete death spiral for the protocol, but it didn't. It found a floor at 22 cents. That means that the negative rebase cycles would have continued all the way till this point, and even after this point would have been continued negative rebase cycles all the way until November. Oh no, even past November. Look at this, the price. So it would have been somewhere in November. So imagine that all the way from October to November, negative rebase events, but the protocol worked in that the price continued to rise, and even through this negative rebase cycle. So that's one indication that the technology does work and that it isn't a Ponzi, since Ponzi's don't recover. This price has recovered from its lowest point. And looking at the chart, it has never reached that low point again. It has never returned or even tested or come near that 22 cent price and that length of a negative rebase cycle. So look how long this negative rebase cycle would have been, months. And then you look at the next time the price dipped below $1 into a negative rebase cycle. It dipped to 54 cents. So that is double. That is double the price where the previous lowest price was. And if you look at it, it returned back into positive territory somewhere in March. So somewhere between March 23rd and the 24th, it returned back above negative rebase cycle. And so this period was from March 12th. So somewhere between March 11th and March 24th. So somewhere between that period, there were some negative rebases, but the price recovered back to $1. The next time it dipped to below that rebasing event was in May of this year, 2020. It hit 90 cents. But once again, the price recovered. Now, the geyser, it added liquidity to the protocol and it really incentivized users to lock up and pair with ETH their Ampleforth tokens. And it really exploded. The price has gone through a number of ups and down cycles. The market cap continues to climb on the protocol. Looking at the coin market cap, Ampleforth currently sits at, the CoinGecko chart, Ampleforth currently sits at number 28. Its market cap for circulating supply, 653,558,407. We'll look at the total fully diluted market cap for the total supply in a moment. And the price currently sits at $2.75. Once again, still a sign that this protocol is growing. It's still witnessing a great deal of adoption. Moving on to Maker. So Maker holders can vote on whether to include Ampleforth as part of their protocol. So this would not be necessarily to include it immediately as a collateral, but to include it for priority in whether it could be included. So the description says the governance facilitators have placed a governance poll into the voting system, which asks whether the asset AMPL Ampleforth token should be prioritized for inclusion in the Maker protocol by the domain team. If Greenlight's votes exceeds the defer votes, the polls is to be taken as to signal to the domain teams that Maker token holders has approved further domain work with the aim of adding Ampleforth token. And so this poll started on July 20th, and it is MIP 9. Currently, though, in terms of voting, 19,755 makers have voted so far. That's a participation rate of less than 2%, and that is 13 voters. And the breakdown currently is 471, or 2.3% for yes, to continue the process of adding Ampleforth, and there is 19,000 no votes to defer. But remember, that's less than 2% of Maker holders who are voting on this, and so it's hard to really gauge whether that's the overall sentiment of Maker or not. But the poll, it still has 7 days, 21 hours, and 37 minutes for it to be finalized. So if you are a Maker holder, consider thinking about Ampleforth or not. I know it's still, for a lot of people, highly, highly speculative. Their prices are so wild that a lot of people wouldn't want to consider adding it. But once again, I invite you to look back at the previous year. There's a whole year worth of data to kind of show that even if you priced each token not at its peak price of $2, right, and even below its anticipated threshold of $1.09, if you priced it somewhere around its last previous, right, if you issued a loan based upon its previous price, right, for each token, you would issue a loan of its previous price at 52 cents instead of at the full market price, then that would offer a greater degree of protection against liquidations and stability within the protocol. So that's just something to consider there. But anyway, moving on, continuing. So the Telegram is just an indication of the bullish sentiment right now. Currently, there are 8,505 members, and currently 1,701 are online. And so this community is very active. There's a lot of uh, predictions on what the market cap would be, and it's very interesting, very engaging. Lots of memes, lots of just a lot of speculation. So if you want to gauge the bullish sentiment on the Ampleforth protocol, you can head over to the Telegram, and that will show you. Moving on. So according to pools .FYI, pools.fi, the Uniswap ETH Ampleforth pool is currently sitting as the fourth most ranking on their top 10 liquidity pools. So this is the top 10 liquidity pools. Curve Y pool featuring YDAI, USDC, YUSDT, and YTSUD is currently sitting in first place with over $200 million locked up. The Curve SUSD with 51 million is currently in second. Third, Balancer pool with USDC and MUSD in third. And here on Uniswap, the ETH Ampleforth pool is sitting with 43 million dollars or value locked up, and the daily volume is 34 million. So I just want you to look at the daily volume on this in comparison to any of the other protocols and just see that's a highly active volume range. And so, and as we can see, the volume, the value continues to grow. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, moving on. If we take a look at Etherscan, there are currently 14,350 addresses holding the Ampleforth token. And if we compare that to Tether, Tether has 1,586,188 addresses. So Ampleforth still has room to grow. The fully diluted market cap, 1,442,000,000. So that's over its total supply, is how that's calculated. Okay, moving on. Okay, we're going to head over to the Ampleforth dashboard, which lists the next rebases in 5 hours, its current price according to the Oracle. So Ampleforth, it averages prices over the previous 24 hours instead of just doing it based upon a spot price. And so $2.47, and its target price $1. And so let's look at the they have the circulating supply here. We look at the price over the last 90 days. It continues to go through this intense period of boom and bust, but that's to be expected as a number of new people are introduced to the ecosystem and they speculate on the asset and get to know the asset as well. If we take a look at the correlation heat map, one of the primary considerations or benefits is that Ampleforth is a non-correlative asset in comparison to BTC, and you can continue to see that it is still proving that out over the last quarter. Which is when this poll was taken. It continues to be non-correlated to BTC in a very good way. And so just looking at the asset performance over the last quarter as well, just intense, massive gains in terms of the asset performance, even in comparison to other top coins. And if we look at the daily returns, as you can see, given its mix of price, uh, discovery, and supply discovery, there are a lot of changes taking place there. So that's a highly, uh, you'll see a wide range of prices there. Moving on, if you want to stay up to date on the latest information about Ampleforth, I invite you to follow our Twitter page here at AMPL Insider and on YouTube as well. Subscribe to our channel so that you can stay informed with the latest takeaways. And so as we wrap up, here are some of the key takeaways that I want you to consider. So one, welcome to the Ampleforth lifestyle. It is going to be a wild ride, so buckle up. Here are some of the key things that I want you to be left with, right? This is a highly speculative market cap and price discovery, right? Highly speculative market cap and price discovery that's taking place right now. The ecosystem is growing fast, exponentially. The next, the larger the protocol, the more stable the protocol becomes. And lastly, each new wallet address lessens the impact of negative rebasis. And so each new wallet address lessens the impact of negative rebasis. So those are some of the key takeaways that I really want you to be left with. Anyway, welcome to the Ampleforth lifestyle. I will see you next time.